be no more. Anyway, so let's just start. Let's just settle into a nice, comfortable, seated posture. Judith's lying down. So if there's any of you also lying down, that's okay. Just relax, but don't go to sleep just yet. And if you are sitting at a desk in front of your computer, have your feet about a hip's width apart. You can have your hands just resting comfortably in your lap, and really try and be sitting on top of your sits bones rather than leaning back into your pelvis, your sacrum. Have your whole pelvic region upright, and then your shoulders aligned with your hip bones as best you can, and your ears as best you can aligned with your shoulders. And even if you're sort of mentally taking yourself through this alignment, you'll notice you start to get a little bit longer in the process. So then imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light that's stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And try and put some space in between those vertebrae. And then when you get to the crown of the head, just relax your scalp. Maybe you can feel some sensation there. And relax your forehead, your eyebrows. Maybe think about relaxing your eyelashes and your eyes, the back of the eyes. Relax the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth, the back of the tongue, the jaw, the temples, the back of the head, the back of the neck. And allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. Be aware of any sound in your environment, just allowing those sounds to be there, trying not to follow them with the mind. And then just notice the thoughts that might be arising in your mind today. So just allow the thoughts to be there. So without any judgment, without criticism, just observe the thoughts. And observe the thoughts with a sort of an element of curiosity. So kind of a little bit like a scientist would. So you kind of be curious and accepting also of what's in there today, because guaranteed it will not be the same this time tomorrow night. And then bring to mind again all the people of your life, the very precious loved ones, our spouses and children, our best friends, all our relatives, all our work colleagues, people we have known all of our lives. And then we have people in our life who we don't particularly feel super comfortable with, or we might not trust, or we just have that kind of karma with them. And then we have our strangers. And I encounter most of my strangers on the freeway. And what's fascinating to me is I sort of just see cars. I always forget there's people with their own story inside of those vehicles. Of course there are, because how are they driving? But we don't think about them terribly much. However, all these relationships are interchangeable and they can change place at any time. This is this impermanent world we live in. And then think they're all equal, these people. They're all equal. They have this wish to be happy. They wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddha mind. So we think, we'll do this practice this evening for all these people of our life and by extension, all sentient beings. So we start by thinking there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. And we create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change it by creating positivity instead. And we start with this power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you may have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our future lives. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. We experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so, having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we don't want any more suffering. We've got enough. We know what that feels like. So, it makes sense logically to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So, think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering, and also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance, and we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor who has these methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we're needing the Buddha to forgive us, but purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine that he's made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light, and perhaps also to make it a little bit more personal, just imagine this is the mind of your teacher, if you have a teacher, a trusted mentor. So he's sitting on cross-legged on a white lotus. He's also himself, Vajrasattva, is made of this beautiful, radiant white light. He has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long, shaped like lotus petals, and they're peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. And in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings. The very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us are developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. So now we come to the power of remedy, and this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space. Not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinopatita Drina Mebawal Situkaya Mebawal Sipokaya Mebawa Anarakta Mebawa Savasidi Mempi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Trita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Trita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Kaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te. Then be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified. And imagine that there's no way you could do anything that benefit others now with your body. And next is this purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and it overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Te Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta me bawa sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kur hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajrama me mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Jida me bawa situkaya me bawa sipokaya me bawa. Anarakta me bawa sabasidi me piyata sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kur hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Jida mebawa situkaya mebawa sipokaya mebawa. Anarakta mebawa sawa siddhi mempi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham. To feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And next is this purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva very compassionately now sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So you imagine you've walked into a room and it's pitch black. So you click on the switch, and the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness. So just imagine the same here. The light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, and all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness and anger, depression, anxiety, resentment, jealousy, bitterness, grudges, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita Drita mebawa situkaya mebawa sipokaya mebawa anarakta mebawa savasidi mempiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita Drita mebawa situkaya mebawa sipokaya mebawa Anarakta mebawa savasidi mempiyatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dina Patita Srita Mebawa Situkaya Mebawa Sipokaya Mebawa Anarakta Mebawa Savasidi Mempiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita Jida mebawa situkaya mebawa sipukaya mebawa anarakta mebawa savasidi mempiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita Jida mebawa situkaya mebawa sipukaya mebawa Anarakta mebawa savasidi mempiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita Jida mebawa situkaya mebawa sipukaya mebawa Anarakta mebawa savasidi mempiyatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita Vida mebawa situkaya mebawa sipokaya mebawa Anarakta mebawa savasidi mempiyatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham. So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are now completely purified. So imagine they're just all gone. And now think there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is this purification of even the imprints of negativity of a body, speech, and mind. And this time imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar. It fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your mind, from your consciousness. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita meboa situkaya meboa sipukaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sitame sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahom pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa situkaya meboa sipukaya meboa Anurakta meboa savasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa situkaya meboa sipukaya meboa Anurakta meboa savasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Juda Mebawa Situkaya Mebawa Sipokaya Mebawa Anarakta Mebawa Savasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami vajrabawa mahasamaya satra aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa savasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa savasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra aham. So now feel completely purified. Just imagine there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to enlightenment have been removed. And now the fourth of the four opponent powers is the power of resolve. So here is a really crucial step because we have to decide, we have to make a determination that we want to refrain from harming. So we have to kind of have this aspiration. I mean, Lama Rinpoche used to talk about, everything exists on the tip of the wishes. The aspiration. That was his English, the tip of the wishes. But Rinpoche is really saying, you've actually got to want to do this. You've got to aspire to refrain from harming. And then everything just will fall into place after that. Because you'll have this kind of this beacon that guides your body, your speech, and your mind in a different direction, away from harmful direction. What also happens in the process is you'll develop an awareness around when you are actually harming others. So sometimes a lot of our actions are completely unconscious. So you start to shine a little bit of a light on, some of our foibles. So first of all, rejoice. So some of you have been here doing practices all day long. Some of you in the puja, which was long, it was 2 hours. And then you've come back again to do this practice, and it's quite late on the East Coast. It's also late in the middle of the country, and it's also late here. So but just rejoice for everybody that's made the effort to come, and for Jay, it's the middle of the day in Australia. So just rejoice in your efforts and everybody else's efforts, each other's efforts. And then think of something you'd like to work on. I think we're in speech realm for probably the next week or so. You know, we're not going around hitting people or hurting them physically generally, but I do think we have a little bit more of a tendency to not be so careful with our speech. So just maybe make this Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, New Year's Eve type, lots of Christmas parties, whatever situation, a place where we are a little bit more careful. Also, if you've been driving around a lot, shopping, busy, maybe a bit more tired than normal, and so maybe your patience is a little less. So also an opportunity to take care of yourself. Remember to take care of yourself. And then think, Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind, melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche recommends to meditate on emptiness. So you would think, in emptiness, there is no I, the creative negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created during this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So let's just do our 3 verses of chanting the names of Manjushri for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. The best and foremost of all great physicians, unequaled in removing thorns of pain, a tree providing medicine for all, a foe opposing every malady. The lovely crowning jewel of all 3 worlds, a cluster of the stars most glorious, the end of space in all its 10 directions, the hoisting high of Dharma's victory flag, sharing one large umbrella with the world, with love and kindness as his mandala, the celebrated lotus lord of dance, pervasive with his precious parasol. Okay, so let's just have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long and for the swift return of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for all of your own individual teachers to live long, healthy, happy lives. Okay, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, whichever. Happy Christmas in England and Australia. Merry Christmas for you over here. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Lama Tsongkhapa Day, and any other holiday that happens to be happening. But those 3 are happening today, which is really extraordinary. Okay, everyone, lots of love. Good night. I will see you tomorrow evening. Okay, thank you so much, new people. Lovely to see you. Hope you come back. Okay,
Good night,
thank you.